Welcome to All Music Matters Net, a podcast for all things related to music. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like and comment below and consider subscribing so you can show your support and join today so you can see more content like this in the future. And now, let's get into the episode.
Well, that's actually when I started the podcast. Ironically enough, that was actually when everyone was locking down. I think just to learn how to record stuff, I was totally at zero my whole life, learning how to do that stuff. And I think that was a spark for that, the COVID thing, and everyone was starting to build home studios. And a lot of friends tell me, yeah, man, you should be doing this. This is a whole other element. But the pandemic was also a blessing in disguise for that kind of state of influence at that point.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And joining me today, all the way out on the West Coast, is Dustin Failner. Hey, pronounce your name.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. I'm an honor to be on. Thanks for it's good to be a guest once in a while.
Yeah, that's right, because you have your own little podcast. You call it the Harry Man Podcast.
Yeah. I've been a year strong so far, and it's going pretty well.
Is it? I thought it was appropriate, too. That's why I decided to throw this out, too.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
Yeah, and I'm in need of a haircut pretty soon. Might want to do it in about 2 weeks or so. All right. So I wanted to reach out because I wanted to get to know, in your case, I wanted to get to know your podcast too, and then also get to know other drummers. So that's what this podcast is going to be about. And I just got some questions for you. Just going to run through them. Just give me your best answer and everything. All right.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, here we go. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I wouldn't even know where to start with that. As you can see, I'm a little into the drums.
Yeah. We'll start with the obvious.
Yeah, I kind of live and breathe it. As you mentioned, I have my podcast called The Harry Man Show. I just kind of get into the world of recording, do my own videos. That's kind of an art itself, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit more confident and better with it. I've always been banned since 12 years old. I mean, I'm still kind of active in the Phoenix music scene here. It just never really ends. It's never really going to end.
I guess, how'd you get started in drumming? Did you start from a young age?
Yeah, it all really comes down to a Remo practice pad and a pair of 2Bs from a music store called Roller Beethoven. My dad pulled out a VHS called Hard Day's Night. It's a Beatles movie, and that was pretty much the spark. I was a Ringo fanatic, and I had to learn every Beatles song. I had to read everything about them. I mean, I had to practice all my rudiments, and then obviously I went to the school education system, excelled at that. But that was like the initial spark, and then obviously at that time I was growing up watching, everyone from Travis Barker to Neil Peart, and I kind of just blossomed into my Neil Peart syndrome, and then my punk syndrome, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Ringo Starr, because from a young age for me, I just remember mostly from my childhood days when I used to watch like Thomas the Tank Engine when he was Mr. Conductor, just for like a couple seasons.
Yeah.
And then I never really saw him live though. Have you seen Ringo live?
Oh no, I wish.
Oh really?
Hopefully I can, before it's.
Yeah, it would be nice. And I know one of my uncles was bringing it up because he's also real big into Ringo and everything from the Beatles. It would be nice to actually see him. I don't know if he's coming where I'm at yet. So going to your YouTube channel. When you started it, did you start doing like just drum covers and then eventually expanded with the podcast?
I mean, it was definitely out of my comfort zone. It really just started as a podcast. Honestly, it started with just a couple of friends talking about comic books. It wasn't even about drums. And it was originally meant to be a conspiracy podcast. And due to the social climate, it was a really bad idea at the time. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I live and breathe drums. Why am I not talking about drums? I know a lot of people in the industry. So yeah. Once I started kind of pumping it, became like a weekly thing, and people were actually liking it for some reason, and yeah, here we are a year later.
I guess who was your first drummer you interviewed? Is it strictly a drummer?
Yeah, well, that was episode 2. That was Gary Romero, and he was someone I kind of worked with for about a decade before that, and he's still one of my good friends I talk to every day. Then I started getting more of the local big guys in Phoenix, like Bermuda Swords from Weird Al, and so forth. Dwayne from Kiel, and it just kept going from there.
Is it just going to be like strictly drummers, or are you thinking of like expanding it at some point?
No, I've had guitarists on there, and in the coming weeks I have a local band, the full band coming on. So it's not really just stuck to that, but I would say that's the core of it, the heart of it.
It was at least a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the same way with me because I knew a friend who he's a drummer and now he's currently residing in Nashville. So we went to college together. So I wanted to kind of reach out to him and kind of touch base and then have him be a start on my podcast afterwards. It's been kind of just reach out to drummers. I would like to eventually expand. So we'll see where it goes. But right now we're pretty much in the driver's seat right now.
Who's like your number one guest of all time if you get anybody in the whole world?
So far, the one I would say outside of you because you got a good amount of subscribers, but
no, I mean like any drummer in the world. Like who would be your number one pick? Like
sorry, I thought you were saying like so far.
No, like fanboying out, you know.
Ooh, that's tough. Because I listen to a lot of the heavy metal and kind of stuff. So I would say my favorite drummer would be like George Corlius. I think that's how you pronounce his name. That drummer from the Nile.
Yeah.
He'd be an interesting one because I've seen his interviews before with like Drum Talk, and I think there are a couple podcasts and other YouTube interviews he did. It would have been nice to get Neil Peart. That one's kind of a shame.
Kind of a shame. So.
I had Nick Rich on it, which is his godson. If you ever check out that episode, he was telling me a lot of things I didn't know about his godfather, and it was a pretty cool episode.
I'll make sure to check it out because what was the recent one I saw? I think it was like episode 70 or something, or I guess how many have you released so far?
Yeah, about 75, I believe.
It might have been 73 when I first stumbled upon your channel. So I forget which one that was, but let's see.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a short-term memory loss at this point.
Yeah, it goes fast.
Life comes first, and then afterwards, everything just comes afterwards.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what do you like most about drumming? Is it more like the thrill, or is it like getting a good sweat?
I think it's more of a lifestyle. I would say. I mean, I come from a genetic line of them, dad, brothers. I guess it's the inner push in myself, just pushing because I'm never going to be as good as I want to be, and I think the discipline of learning the instrument and pushing and being, crushed by watching someone's 1,000 times better, it actually makes me feel better, if that makes sense. I think younger, I was cocky and, I thought like I was hot stuff in every, league, but now it's almost like every time I see something new, I'm like, oh, I'm inspired,
Yeah, I know I was like trying to do like blast beats from like one of the Napalm Death kind of songs, and it wasn't great, and I will admit, looking back on it, it wasn't my greatest, but I gave it an attempt nonetheless. And that's the thing that's always a little bit hard when you like first initially start off. You just want to kind of jump into it, and like if it's a song you like and you feel like you can do it, you jump on and do it. Was that kind of how it was with you too?
Yeah, I think it comes with a maturity with the instrument. Like if like you say, going back and listening to yourself, just so many things to go back and listen to. I'm like, what? But yeah, I think it's just like I said, I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I'll be 80 years old still doing it if I make it that far. You know what I mean? I'm not. I obviously won't be as fast or as agile, but I still know I'll be pushing myself, and that would give me some sort of beam of light at the end of the tunnel always.
Yeah, you'll be the drummer from the Rolling Stones, Charlie.
Yeah, and that was still precise to the day he died.
Yeah, I know, it was pretty sudden too. And considering like actually how old everybody is, and even what like Keith Richards and Mick Jagger had been through too, even throughout their lives with the drug abuse and everything. It's always amazing too, like how some of these musicians who've abused the drugs are the ones that normally outlast a good amount of everybody else. Well,
if you look at, not to get off subject, but you look at what Mick Jagger does, he literally has a semi follow him with a built-in gym. The guy works out for 4 hours. I mean, that guy's like still 25 at heart,
So he keeps himself fit and everything. That's cool. Talk about your kid. Is that it right behind there, or is that just one of them?
Yeah, the one I have set up. Can you see it all? I know I'm kind of in the way. But that I'm actually making a review video for this one right now. It's a Pearl Masters MCX. This is the all maple shell 6-ply, and this is in the Apstein green sparkle. This is one of the finishes I was kind of seeking out for a while, and it kind of went with the theme of the show, green everything. But this one's just a 4-piece right now. It's 12 and a 16 to 22 setup behind me.
Sweet. That was the one you used in your drum cover?
Yeah, the recent one, the last 2 recent ones.
Yeah, that was the one with Travis Barker. And the name escapes me at the moment. That was the
Sideways, I believe.
Sideways, yeah, that's right. Jack Case. That's right, Jack Case.
And he's another upcoming artist that kind of came out of nowhere too.
Yeah, but especially when you get a guy like Travis Barker in your group too, it like kind of propels you up a little bit too. Now you start getting all the followers and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely a boost.
Absolutely. Let's see. Looking at what COVID kind of did to society with the pandemic and everything, I guess. How did COVID affect your business?
Well, that's actually when I started the podcast. Ironically enough, that was actually when everyone was locking down. I think just to learn how to record stuff, I was totally at a zero my whole life, learning how to do that stuff. And I think that was a spark for that, the COVID thing, and everyone was starting to build home studios. And a lot of friends telling me, yeah, man, you should be doing this. This is a whole other element. But the pandemic was also a blessing in disguise for that kind of state of influence at that point.
That's what everyone's been kind of saying to me in these kind of interviews I've been having. They're saying like the pandemic was kind of a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Because it allowed them to try out stuff on YouTube and like podcasts and everything else.
Yeah, it was definitely an evolution of technology with the human connection, I guess. I can't really wrap that sentence around, right? But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the other thing too, and especially since I think now people are going to be like afraid to like get like the face-to-face contact a little bit. I think now everybody's so used to kind of doing these little teleconferences now.
Yeah, I'm a lot better at it, especially since it's kind of more in a work-related setting now. But I mean, in Phoenix, everything's opened up live shows, so I'm kind of seeing the best of both worlds at this point.
Yeah. Did you see any that were live stream or?
Yeah, and latency, of course. But I mean, a lot of bands were just kind of trying to keep the motion, but I also saw a lot of bands kind of go in the dark and write a record too.
Yeah,
a lot of friends, and upcoming and bigger bands that were telling me that was the time to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I guess the COVID, did it impact you like mentally or anything, or was it just like?
No, not really. I think in every darkness there's an opportunity, I guess. I mean, it wasn't really a good thing for anybody, but I think, I don't know, you just always have to look for positive in everything. I've learned that later in life, I guess.
It is hard, especially given how a lot of the climates are, even political, environmental, and stuff like that too going on. So it gets a little bit hard at times, and especially with all the noise coming in and out too.
Yeah, you just got to shut it off and create your own bubble at that point.
Oh, absolutely. But as we're slowly calling out of COVID, if we're going to say we're even coming out of it, because it seems like everybody's saying there's another wave coming or something like that, I guess, what would be your plans and goals for this year?
This year is really to grow my channel. I mean, obviously I'd like to get content out more on a regular basis. But as you mentioned earlier, life has some stretches. Your busy weeks, your busy months. But yeah, I guess more dedication to the show. Building a studio, I literally built about a month ago. Just getting my hands on better equipment. And, I just recently opened this public, so I'm getting more confident with bringing people in, getting a little bit of a clientele going. That would be like the big two, I would say.
I hope to eventually reach that 1,000 subscriber mark.
Oh, yeah. I don't really try to hang on to numbers. I mean, I don't really do a whole lot of promotion for it, but a lot of that's word of mouth, me just talking to people, and that kind of helps out a lot too.
I guess, what social media channels do you use, and like how do you promote what you do?
So Facebook, Instagram are obviously the biggest channels for anybody at this point. All my stuff goes on YouTube regardless of what it is. I'll just do an audio file for YouTube. But YouTube is kind of where I try to get everyone to go to because it's kind of a mutual bridge to where we can meet anybody at that point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you do like your own little drum beats or 808s, anything like that?
Yeah, I do create loops and stuff like that. I don't have anything to show you at the moment. But yeah, when I'm in practicing, I kind of dedicate at least 20 to 30 minutes of my practice session of just doing trap beats, a lot of, a lot of techno drumming and stuff like that I kind of incorporate, but I am looping stuff and starting to learn how to do that right now.
Yeah. For your DAW, do you use like Logic or do you use like Ableton and some of those other ones?
So I started on Logic and everyone kind of pushed me into Pro Tools and I just did not like Pro Tools. And so I went back to Logic, to be honest with you. I think it's just more intuitive. And I think maybe I'm missing the point, but like I think Logic just a lot more easier to transfer videos and kind of streamline things a lot better in my opinion.
Yeah, you're like able to just export your files easy, and then like if you're using, I have Final Cut Pro, which is what I use for making videos like these and just kind of editing them and everything.
Yeah.
So I find it easier, and then you're just able to like just drag and drop or just import it in that, and just bring it in and just start editing.
Yeah, I do use Adobe now for on my PC to kind of do more of the film editing because I think that's the only thing I use on my PC compared to the Mac stuff.
I did notice during the drum cover, the camera was always moving sideways. Do you have like a little?
Yeah, so I actually have a motion track to my right, and that's just you program it. It's on a track, and you can make it at any angle. So it kind of breaks the boredom if you just had a video straight in front of you. I think people's attention span now, you kind of have to give them something at the moment. And it's been working, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying it originally, and then I kind of backed away from it because I was just doing like one angle, then I just move the camera and just do the other angle. Maybe a couple times I put it on the floor to try to show what I do with the kick pedal. Do you do anything in your covers with the kick pedal? Show like a little cam down there, just show like how it's done.
So I stopped playing double kick about a couple of years ago. So a lot of stuff I haven't been doing hasn't been like mind blowing footwork. I was brought up on the Bonham-esque stuff, so all the triples I do are with 1 foot, but I am setting up. Eventually, I'll have about 5 cameras on me, so I can kind of get better at panning everything.
Okay. I know you didn't want to talk too much about the business, but is there anything that you would like to talk about how you run your business or anything like that?
I don't even know if I don't even know if I would call it a business yet. It's more of a dedication, passion project at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's never going to end. It's always going to keep going. Is what I'm trying to say.
So they put me in the ground, as they would say.
Yeah.
I guess why the hairy man? Did you always grow out thick beards? Like, does it grow like a weed on that face of yours?
Yeah, I've always been a young Italian boy that a little bit on the hairier side, and I've always believed you got to be able to make fun of yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to come up with the name. I was like, okay, the Dustin Show, that's stupid, like. So it was kind of back and forth, and I thought, what would be funny and people are going to remember it? And I could not find anything on it, and no one's ever used that, ironically, besides the Man Show on Comedy Central in the 90s. But it just stuck, and everyone liked it since,
Yeah, absolutely. I guess they don't think of it as a music podcast. I think it's like whatever that Comedy Central was back then. It's just like a bunch of hairy guys that come on there and just talk about random shit and stuff like that.
No, honestly, no one's ever really asked me that. That's kind of a funny point.
Yeah,
I've only got really compliments or just like, hey, dude, like, if I'm not hairy, can I still be on the show? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Well, I thought it was appropriate to at least grow mine out.
That's like probably the weirdest, question I've got on it, and yeah, I just kind of laugh it off and move on. So,
well, normally when they come up with the names of podcasts, it normally means like the niche that they're getting involved in. So,
but I didn't want to funnel myself into one little, like you mentioned earlier. I'd rather have guitar players on, DJs, bands. So it kind of opens that up. If you say Dustin's Drum Podcast, you're kind of stuck in that linear street. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think only the ones that like name them after themselves are ones that at least have like a good following and stuff like that, and be like, oh, I know that guy, and I know what he talks about too. So we'll just go and see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, so but I will be.
All right. Well, I have no idea like how you deal with that beard though, because when I was growing mine out during college and everything, because I used to play football.
Oh yeah.
There was one year where I was just kind of growing out to be like the big playoff beard because it used to be like a good luck charm. And I could not stop playing with it, to be honest.
You just get used to it, just like anything else.
No, I'm just like pulling on it here, and I feel like I cannot stop playing with this. And normally when the hair gets very long like this, I get not stop playing with it. It's like just not the reaction just clicks on my head. Like if I get anxious, I think it's more when I get anxious.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of has a weird thing,
Yeah,
it's something like that.
So let me ask you, what kind of kit are you playing, man?
Mine's an electric drum kit. It's TD Roland TD 25K.
Oh, nice. I just got a 27 myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I haven't used it as much as I want to, but I'm kind of experimenting how to record with MIDI and the sampling and stuff. So that's another venture I'll be taking here soon.
Well, that's what I do with my drum covers. Is like I make it MIDI, and then I use a Superior drummer for my covers. So that's what makes all the sound go in the background there. Yeah. So, are you thinking like combining yours together? Kind of like do like the Neil Peart style? We got that set behind you, and then you have the drums off to the side. That'd be like chimes, bells, or triangles.
Yeah, I'm gonna acquire SPDX pad here pretty soon, and that was gonna start programming some of my drum samples in it. But yeah, I kind of want to start incorporating some of the trap beats into the drum covers, and be able to play everything you hear in a song. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
There's nothing that bothers me more when you see a drummer and there's like a loop going on the back of a clap, and you're like, he's not playing the clap. That just drives me nuts. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it gets annoying when it's just like.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna, especially in the percussion world, I think if you're gonna have something looping behind you, just play it yourself, or get a percussionist.
Yeah, I know when I listen to a song, it's like just trying to make sure I'm matching with it. But I think if it's just like trying to do it on my own, I would just probably just start off random and just see how it sounds. To be honest.
Are you worried about learning songs note to note, or you kind of make it your own?
A lot of the collaborations I've done and like some of the other drum covers I see from like people who have subscribed and I go and watch their videos. Yeah. It looks like they kind of like roll with their own thing at times.
Yeah.
Me specifically, out of respect, I do it as trying to learn it note for note.
Mm-hmm.
At least to the best of my abilities, because it sounds like some of the things you probably can't hear real well. It's probably like a ghost note or something, or those silent kind of drum rolls with just the one hand they kind of roll down or something like that.
Yeah.
I try to get it as close as I can. So.
Are you mixing in Logic as well?
A little bit, yeah. It's just really throwing on a compression, really, and then once I throw it on Final Cut Pro, it's like throwing the EQ, the compression, and then just an adaptive limiter, like that.
Yeah, it's definitely getting easier with the plugins.
Oh, absolutely. And Final Cut Pro, all you just do is just drag and drop. You don't have to adjust everything. It automatically does it all for you. So that's like the best thing about it.
Yeah, I got to try that out.
But you already jumped ahead of me because actually we had that 9th question there where this is like the segment where I give my interviewees a little bit of a freedom to ask me anything or anything they just want to get off their chest or anything. So you kind of already jumped off with 2 of them, I guess. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
So what are your ambitions? Apologize for that. What are your ambitions with your channel, and what are you looking to gain, and how do you see the evolution of social media adding to drummers, in your opinion?
First off, someone's probably texting you. That's probably the wife.
No, I'm sorry about that, man.
No, that's good, dude. I have my phone right here. I'm hoping it doesn't beep either. My channel's kind of jumped around a little bit. It used to just be like, okay, I'll just release drum covers because I was already good. I already had a job, and now I kind of work at a second job at a local restaurant for a friend of the family's. So I'm at least good financially, but at first just start off trying to do drum covers and then just see where it takes me and everything. And I realized how slow it was because at first it was just friends subscribing, just out of the goodness of their hearts. So as we continue to move on, I was trying to figure out like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Stuff like that. And I tried researching it, and there were things they were charging, like a sort of to say like how you can get subscribers or apply to TubeBuddy to try to get that, which I did, and I'm just trying it out this year just to see how it goes.
And what is TubeBuddy?
TubeBuddy helps you, how to say it? It helps like, I want to say like promote your content, but it's more like helping you out, kind of like show like what tags you need to add, how to make your thumbnail more presentable. Let's see, I guess what words you can throw into your title so that it makes you stand out a little bit more.
Oh, gotcha. It's more like an assistant.
Yeah, more like assistants. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just tried it out this year just to see how it works. Just cancel it pretty soon.
I still think just directly reaching out to people and talking to people is a big 50% of it.
Yeah, too, and that was one of the things I learned this year. But in order to kind of diversify myself, I wanted to start a podcast last year, but I was being a little bit lazy too. So, and work was kind of taking precedence and making me mentally tired. But this year, I just decided, no more. Let's just go at it and see where it goes. So that's why I launched this podcast, and All Music Matters in that. And
yeah. So, are you looking to get into a live band, or you just want to stay like on the studio side of things?
I tried to get into a cover band once, and they invited me out because there was a site called Band Mix, and it was kind of like looking for musicians in your local area. So I tried it out just to see, like, hey, because I did see a couple of good male bands, and their music sounded pretty good. So I was trying to see if I could try to be a part of that, and unfortunately, you had to purchase like the subscription in order to be able to message them.
Yeah, there's always a catch to it.
There's always the catch to it.
Well, without you don't have to give this away, but what city you reside in?
Pittsburgh, PA, Steel City.
What's the music scene flow in that city? Like, what does it feel like?
Actually, believe it or not, I actually had an interview about this on a Monday with one of the studio managers, and He says it's pretty diverse. You get a little bit of the hip hop, you got rock, metal, jazz also is a pretty good scene too. It's actually pretty diverse up here in Pittsburgh. I guess, how's it in Phoenix?
I'd say definitely more on the rock metal side, but a lot of people are flocking to here from LA, so I do see a lot of different things happen. I really can't pin it to one genre, just like you said, but I really feel like that's everywhere. You know, unless you go to Nashville and it's country, but yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, you have thrash metal one night, and then you have an indie rock band right down the street, so it's all over the place.
Everybody's migrating from one city to the next.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a lot of Californians coming this way.
I guess they're sick and tired of the house burning down and everything too.
Yeah.
Either that or hippie central, something like that. It's something.
That's a whole other story on a different day.
Yes, let's not get political here. This is not getting political.
Yeah.
I guess, what else did you want to ask? Or anything in particular you want to get off your chest?
Not a whole lot of stuff. I'm just really curious to see where your channel goes, and I've learned just to kind of always reinforce what everyone else is doing around you as well.
There's that, yeah, and I've asked for advice from other people who've passed that 1,000 subscriber mark, and I'm asking, like, how did you do it? I guess, because obviously they said it's everything you get into in life has to be a long process. It's not just something that happens in a couple months or something like that. It's usually 1 or 2 years or something like that if you put a lot of work and effort into it.
Yeah. That's the thing is, even when you get to 1,000, I mean, it's really not over or even really started at that point. I mean, that's why I try not to look at it too much like that. But obviously, like 10,000 is like really my personal goal.
Personal goal.
Yeah. And I mean, would that take a couple years? Probably, yeah. But
oh, yeah, absolutely.
What else am I going to do, you know?
I got time. That's for sure. I got time to kill.
Yeah, it's not like it's a fishing channel where I don't like fishing, you know?
I don't know. I think a lot of them would probably dry it up in Arizona, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty hot here, man. Definitely 3 or 4 months where you kind of hang inside. You know what I mean? It definitely is culturally different during the summers here.
What is Arizona like? Because I've never been out there.
Actually.
Yeah, avoiding the politics. I'm originally from California, but I've been here for about 16 years. It's nice. It's a really nice city. I mean, people are great. A lot of open areas, a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth. I live a little bit more on the west side of things, and definitely something to always do. I mean, people are always outside. I would say it's like a mix of California and, I don't know, it's like a Florida and California mix, if that makes sense.
Maybe a little bit of Texas with the desert scene and everything.
And even Texas is changing from all of what my friends tell me, but that's just the way the world works. It's never always going to stay the same, you know?
Yeah, you have to get used to change. That's the thing that irritates me the most, even in the political world. Like, you just got to get used to change and stuff like that. So,
if you're into off-roading stuff or the big outdoors, I mean, this is definitely a state for you.
Have you been to the Grand Canyon? Or,
yeah. Multiple times, yeah.
I guess what other national parks were there? Because is there some outside of Tucson?
I believe so. I mean, really, the beauty of Arizona is up north, to be honest with you. When you start getting to Flagstaff and Prescott and, you know, all those, like, mountain towns up there, it's almost kind of, like, off-worldly a little bit when you see it. Almost like, I would play a lot of RPGs growing up, so it's always like kind of like, I don't know if you ever play like Final Fantasy games, but like when I go up there, I feel like that's like the next world. It's hard to explain without sounding like geeky.
No, I know Final Fantasy. I never played it, and I kind of wish I did.
Well, like any RPG, you know how you get past like the desert town, and then you're in the forest town, and then you're in the ocean town.
Like World of Warcraft, yeah. Like,
what I'm trying to say is Arizona kind of has everything in it. We have lakes, we have, you know, dunes, we have mountains. It's weird. It's probably one of the most diverse landscape states, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Ours is more lush, to be honest, and it's usually pretty hilly out here in Pittsburgh. Have you ever been out here?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, as far as the East Coast, I've been through the big ones like Jersey, New York, Maine. I really like Maine. That's really all I can remember at this point.
You ever been to Florida?
I've been to Florida.
Have you? Same with Georgia?
Yeah, well, I drove to Georgia, yeah. I mean, I've kind of drove into the outer rim playing in different bands, you know, but a lot of it's just in passing, you know. I mean, not enough to really take it in or judge it by any means.
Are you still currently in a band, or are you...
No, I just do a lot of fill-in stuff, you know, a lot of favors for people. And as everything is opening up, too, I mean, I'm kind of starting to book up the next couple of next months. I mean, everything from cover bands to punk bands, but I really have no reason not to be busy at this point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep yourself busy. Keeps you occupied.
Yeah, and it makes you tired.
Yeah. After that, you need a 12-hour nap.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I guess what bands were you in? Because I know that's probably something I should have asked sooner, but I guess now that we're here at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in nothing that huge, but like a lot of local bands here in Phoenix, like Buried by Design, Evolution or Kill. I mean, a lot. I can go on and on and on. I'm really getting foggy at this point, but there's quite a few. I can write them all down for you.
I guess, did you have like funny memories you want to share?
A lot I probably shouldn't share.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of inappropriate jokes.
Yeah. I think in my 20s, he definitely was a different character. Nothing bad, but I'm just saying definitely a little bit more...
Wild.
Yeah.
He was the Zach Wild on the drums.
Yeah, I think once you get past 30, you're like, okay, these organs got to last. So that's kind of what I would leave it at.
Yeah, we kind of eased off the foot pedal there, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, you got to make it work a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we breezed through a good number of the questions here, so I guess before we jump to the last one, is there anything else you would like to add or say?
No, I wasn't too prepared on that one, but no, I think I got the gist of that one.
Well, that was also one of the things I wanted to be a little bit different, but I like also hearing what people have to say and even me trying to share a story too. I think it's a good way to build cohesion or something like that.
Yeah.
So, last question for you. What sort of hopeful message would you have for drummers out there who are perhaps taking a similar path or perhaps struggling from COVID-19? What kind of message would you give them?
Simply never stop. I mean, as cliche as that sounds, easy as to say that, but there's no reason to ever stop. I think just push and push and push till you push to the point where you don't realize you already passed the obstacle.
What are times where you did want to give up too?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, even when I got home from work today, I still forced myself to spend at least 90 minutes on that kit and work on the next cover. Because I know it's just going to make it by the time I film it this weekend or early next week. I'm going to be like, yes, I'm happy. I just got that tightened up. It's good. Now I can take a break for a day or so. I do believe that you should have one day away from drums a week. That typically is like usually on a Sunday for me, where I won't touch drumsticks. I won't really like get into it. I won't watch videos. I kind of have a mental break. It's kind of like an old Bruce Lee concept. You got to have one day away from it. And it builds the ambition back up, and it really does help a lot.
He goes and rests on the couch eating a big bag of nachos or something like that.
Well, yeah, I'm a big video game guy too. So I mean, like, I think hanging out with my girlfriend, my dogs, video games, working in the garden. I mean, that's kind of like sounds old manish, but that's also another way you're like reconnecting with yourself and bracing for the next challenges in the coming week.
What sort of video games do you play? Do you kind of vary at times? Do you jump into Call of Duty?
Yeah, I love Call of Duty. It's kind of a bummer not releasing one this coming year, but yeah, everything from Call of Duty. I'm literally just I'm playing the new Kirby, and I'm playing another one called Ghostwire Tokyo right now on the PS5. So I really am not really limited to anything. I just got the Gran Turismo, so I'm like all over the place. I'm kind of a geek in that sense. Lego Star Wars came out today or yesterday. I'll be getting out this weekend. So
Lego Star Wars, man.
Yeah, I could talk 2-3 hours your head off on that one. So.
I do remember me and a friend actually played a different Lego Star Wars. I think it was more the earlier one, but I think it molded in all three of the prequels together.
Yeah, this one's like all 9, and they kind of changed it to like more of a third-person view. It looks good. It looks well thought out. I'm excited about it.
Did you ever play one of the more fantasy kind of games, like the Dark Souls or Bloodborne?
Yeah, I just bought Elden Ring.
Oh, did you?
Man, that was like soul crushing, dude. Like 2 days into that, I'm like, nah, there's no way.
Like it was that hard.
Yeah, well, it's that hard. It's just the dedication factor of really having to put yourself into it and turn up every stone. And I couldn't do it. I literally had to walk away from that, which I normally don't do. I kind of push myself to finish whatever I'm playing.
Yeah, I know. The first time I was doing like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, I was struggling like hell, and I admit I was getting my butt whooped bad. And I took a break from it, and then I got on it to see like how the pros were doing. I admit I went to go see how people did through walkthroughs and stuff, because it's not worth the stress at times.
No, and I guess it kind of ties into musicianship and practicing. Those games do have kind of a relatable message where you just grind and do the same thing, and then you kind of find a new way get a new helmet, whatever, etc. And it just helps and helps and helps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I do see the addiction factor, but it's too much. You know, I don't have that many hours to dedicate. You know.
Do you do like Twitch or anything, or do you just?
No. I think once the YouTube gets bigger, I'd like to start doing some more live streams. Me playing video games and talking drums, but that is kind of two niche markets. You know what I mean? But I guess just talking drums while I'm doing something would kind of be cool, and something I'd like to introduce this year too, coming up.
I do know there's a drummer. I think his name's Mike Few. I think his name is. I think he does a little bit of both. I don't know if he talks about drums. I haven't seen this episode yet, but I'm gonna check it out. But I know he's a drummer too, but he also plays his video games and does his walkthroughs. And I know the Bloodborne one he recently released was No Hunter's Dream and no deaths or anything like that. He somehow pulled it off.
Yeah. As long as the drums are involved, I think that it would kind of relatable theme to kind of stay with.
Yeah, I feel like it has to. The games like have to connect like somehow or something. But,
yeah, you don't want to build a subscriber count and then put a cooking video on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like so you that's one thing I think people do wrong is they jump around to 6 different things. You really just have to pick what you're doing and stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you have to kind of make a little bit of adaptation. That's kind of like what I was talking about with YouTube. I had to like figure out something different in order to try to stand out a little bit more. So
yeah,
it does go back to my podcast a little bit, but and here we are. That's all the questions I have. And I guess is there any last words you want to give? I guess how can people reach you?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a little easier to find because of the name, but you can just Google the Hairy Man Show. I do ask. I mean, just as we mentioned multiple times, subscribe to my channel, and you can direct message me your email or your links, and I'll do the same thing for you guys. But really, just some more of a I just want to meet people, talk drums, and anyone that's interested in being on the show, reach out to me. We can make it work. I try to schedule a week out. But yeah, Instagram, The Hairy Man Show, Facebook, Dustin Failner, YouTube, The Hairy Man Show, and those are the big 3 to get a hold of me.
Awesome. I think it would be nice if I can come on your podcast one of these days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That way we call it even then.
Yeah, I would like to start doing more group discussion stuff pretty soon here, too. That way it's not so, focused on one person.
Yeah, we can actually do a big live stream and invite other drummers on too. That'd actually be an interesting one.
Yeah, I want to set up a tribute to Taylor Hawkins, some people that I know that know him and stuff like that, and stuff like that. Just a relatable subject that 4 or 5 guys can. That way, it's A B A B A B. It's kind of more natural. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But also another tip, if you want to look for an idea to do another drum cover, I've seen some people do the blindfold challenge. I don't know. Did you do it yet?
No. When I was a kid, I used to practice with the lights off, literally in the dark room. And my dad told me that was a good. My dad taught me how to play, but long story short, I got pretty good at it. So maybe I'll try to find a really difficult cover to do like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We welcome out anything, really.
Yeah.
I will say turning off the lights is interesting. But I guess it lets you know where your hi-hat is, your cymbals and everything, and toms, snare. I guess it gave you a nice hint. So then you have to hear the music too.
I took a Benny Calhoun thing. I listen to podcasts when I practice, and I read a book to my left. So I try to keep my brain distracted. I don't do so much to the book thing anymore, but I'm always listening to Joe Rogan in my ear while I'm doing rudiments. That way, yeah. So it separates, whatever podcast at the time,
Yes,
it does help a lot.
He is an interesting character. I will give him that.
Oh yeah, I mean, some guests are better than others, but yeah, I mean, I can't say I listen to every episode, but I've definitely learned a lot listening to that guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give him that. He, like I said, he is an interesting character. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dustin, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, buddy. We're just shy of a 40-minute mark, but you know what?
Wow.
Actually, I had to we breezed through those questions pretty quick though, so I kind of had to improvise at certain times too. So.
Yeah, it only felt 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
Oh, really? No, you're good. All right. Well, I guess. Everybody, my guest today was Dustin Failner on the All Music Matters in That podcast. I hope to come on his podcast one of these days. Give it a little break, though, because I think he's got some plans involved, too. So,
yeah, we'll get yeah.
All right. Hold up, he froze again. I'm going to wait till these kids unfrozen. Okay, there you go. All right. Dustin, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Stay safe. Stay tuned, bud.
All right, see you, man.
Take care.